Welcome to today's session. Whoa. It's good? Okay. Yeah, welcome to today's session for import and export to LeanIX. We called it entry level. I would assume, given that it's called entry level, not all of you have done extensive importing and exporting with LeanIX. First of all, my name is Richter. I'm the VP Customer Success of LeanIX. So with the team, I'm taking care of onboarding customers, making sure that our customers are and stay successful with the tool, make use of the tool. And what we figured out, I think what is pretty clear, if you don't have the right data in the tool doesn't really add value. So we put a high emphasis during onboarding on identifying the right data and getting the right data into the tool. What I'd like to share to you, with you today is how we get that done. So what you will hopefully learn in today's session is, first of all, decisions to take before importing data. Most of you probably have some kind of application lists, perhaps the CMDB data or other data sources that you could either simply import into the tool, or where I would try to give you some guidance and recommendation what you should do with the data before you bring it into the tool. Because what we do is always we start thinking from the visualization, so from the value that you get out of your data, and then come back to the data and see what kind of data do you need, in what format do you need, in what granularity do you need it to get into the tool. And then also share how this goes together. So what is the way from an Excel spreadsheet into a LeanIX report? So when you look at it, there are basically 4 ways to get data into the tool or to manipulate the data in the tool. First one is the UI. I don't know if you have had the chance to either already use LeanIX or have been to one of the stations, got a demo, and saw one of our fact sheets. So basically, a fact sheet is a representation of an application with some attributes. And what you can do in the UI is create a single fact sheet, fill it with attributes. You can do updates, and you get a very detailed view. It's not, I would say it's a very time-consuming process to create a fact sheet, fill out the data, create the next fact sheet. That's time-consuming. That's not what I would recommend to do in a first way. What we've launched today is the in-table editing. It's strong to get see your inventory, to get a list, to see or to choose some attributes, some descriptions, in the future some relations that you want to maintain. So in-table editing is the recommended way if you have a selection and want to modify single attributes in it. That's why I would recommend it for. It's currently not intended to create any new fact sheets. So coming back to our topic, import, in-table editing or in-line editing is probably very difficult to do. The API. Mostly during onboarding, we get asked a lot questions about the API. It's very powerful. With the API, you can read and write every fact sheet. So everything that you see in the UI happens via our API. So once you open a fact sheet, there's a query going on and generating the fact sheet. So the API is a good thing if you want to do automation, if you want to do in a regular basis. I wouldn't recommend doing that during onboarding, because during onboarding, we want to get data into the tool. We want to, from our belief, generate a fast time to value. As you probably might all know, when you use the API, you have a different system that you want to connect it to. You have an integration that you need to build. So this is kind of time-consuming. And we do have sessions here in the A Connect days that explain you in depth how to use the GraphQL API or the REST API to retrieve data, to write data. Nevertheless, in the first step, I would definitely go for the way of Excel importing the data. And that's what in today's session I will focus on. So this is an easy way to do mass edits. By mass edits, I mean mass creations of fact sheets, mass updates of fact sheets. As I already said, it's most often used during onboarding or in situations where the enterprise architecture team is generating data, cleaning the data, and then bringing it all together into the tool. So this is the most common way used. It's also, when you not only think about onboarding and import, a way to generate lists. We saw it just in one of the sessions of Thomas Schreiner from Fresenius. I don't know who of you was there. But this is that you, as an enterprise architect, you get a lot of questions on, hey, which applications are we running in Belgium and are in a certain business capability, and perhaps with a high business criticality. So this could be a question that could be asked to an enterprise architect, so where the result would be a list of those kind of applications, and this would result in an export. So this just should give you like an overview what is possible. In today's session, I will focus on Excel, and I think everybody of you who starts with LeanIX and has some kind of data in Excel, and I will explain you how you get from your application lists into the first report in LeanIX. So when you look at our data model, it basically has 10 fact sheet types. And this is what Andre talked about this morning. This is our best practice data model. So we come up with 10 fact sheet types, starting on the business side with user groups. So that could be the business units, the departments, the countries. Depending on your context, it's business capabilities that are usually in the ownership of the enterprise architect. It's processes that can come from tools like ARIS or Signavio. It's in the information system part. It's the application, which is at the core of our data model. Applications carry data objects, for example, employee data, and they are related to projects. So projects are the ones impacting our application landscape, changing it, where the EA has the task to make sure that those things can be documented over time, the changes. So in today's session, I will skip a bit the part on the technology architecture, so providers, IT components like servers, software, operating systems, etc., and tech stack, which is a clustering of the IT component. Again, during onboarding, what we do with our customers is generate a first report based on the application list, which is the core, what we always start with, business capabilities that are usually in the ownership of the EA, and the user groups. So this gives us already a good starting point for application portfolio management to draw your reports here. What we also do and believe in is to rely on best practices, not only in terms of data model, which is that one, but also in terms of data. And what you see here is our best practice business capability map. So we go into separate sections, strategic management, customer relationship, and what you can see here is the hierarchy of business capabilities that we recommend to our customers during onboarding. So if you want to import such things, obviously this is a poster that we provide, but we also provide it as so-called Excel templates, and this is a starting point. If you already have a kind of a business capability model, we are happy to use that one. We figured out that companies kickstarting their EA initiative are very happy to start with a certain kind of best practice, and from there on working with that ones, discussing with the stakeholders, hey, can we work with that, or is that different for our industry or for our go-to-market approach? Can we really use that, or do we have to adapt it? Nevertheless, we recommend starting with such things. We've seen onboardings where customers spend months, several months, just creating a business capability map. And by a month, I don't mean 2. It could be 10 or 12 months. For us, during onboarding, that can be kind of a long process. So we encourage customers to go with the best practices. This is business capabilities. This is the one where we had the most discussions. Second one was data objects. What is a data object? Also, you can start very philosophical discussions around that. So we came up with a best practice. Technical stack, so segmenting your IT components into databases on the first level, relational databases and non-relational on the second level, coming up with collaboration tools, collaboration and then file sharing on the second level. So these are all things that were already from certain institutions. There are best practices. We discussed them with our customers and came up with a separate best practice set. So if you look at our data model, tech stack, we offer not only the attributes, we offer also the data to start with. Data objects, we offer the data to start with. Business capabilities, we offer the data to start with. So even if it's very immature, this is a good starting point for our customers to get started and really focus on the relevant questions which are around the applications and the questions, what do the applications do? What are the applications supporting in terms of business? So this brings me to the next questions, and I'm still at the part, what should we decide or do before we import the data? What is an application? It's one of the first questions that we get asked when the onboarding starts. The application or definition of an application comes, in our understanding, from the business side. So when a business uses it, it's most likely an application, even though it could be Excel or SharePoint. It's an application because it's used. If it's a SaaS application, some kind of Salesforce instance, obviously it's an application because it supports some kind of a business capabilities. It shows a certain business need. Also, an application manages and exchanges business data, employee data, customer data. It relies, and then here I come to the technical part, relies on software, hardware, and a certain service. Service could be hosting service. So the application is the core of our data model. And understanding this makes it really, or answers a lot of questions on what to import and what not to import. Is the LDAP or is Okta or is that an application or is it not an application? Is that used by a business unit? So this is questions that we ask our customers to really figure out what should I put into the application list and what probably is rather on the technology side and is rather a software that is used by an application in order to fulfill a business capability. And also an application has a life cycle, has ownership, which is very important to our model. You probably heard from Andre, collaboration is key, is one of our core beliefs, and collaboration can only happen in the tool if we have a certain ownership. So if it really says, hey, who's responsible for that application and with what kind of role? Who's the application owner? Who's the data security officer being responsible for that? Who's the solution architect? So there could be different roles, but nevertheless, these are responsibles in our understanding for an application. And as I said, they are used by business units. Our belief is also keep it very simple. you can do a lot of hierarchies also in applications and say, hey, our level 1 application is that, and that it has certain children underneath. We believe start very simple and don't do hierarchies in applications. Only if you go into very complex SAP modeling, then it might make sense to discuss about that. But especially during onboarding, make sure not to go too deep into the applications and ask yourself rather, is it really necessary? Is it an information that we need here? So this is a fact sheet, basically. So this shows us some information about a single application. So what we see here, we have name and descriptions, we have life cycles, we have business criticalities. So that's attributes that we come up with in the best practice data model, and obviously we relate the application in this case to business capabilities and say Attorneynet is supporting the business capability legal. Legal is an essential business capability. That's what I see here. And what else can I see? I see this is SLA bronze here. So this is a certain tag that we gave to this. So it's a mixture, what we see here, and this is a real-life example of customer having some data about the tool, like how long did we, or when did we try to introduce it, and when is it going active, when is it going end of life. And this is the way, when you look at your data, you might not have all that data, so prioritize it. See, do we really have already business criticality and functional fit? No, we don't, so leave it out in a first step. Don't go out and already do a query on that attribute before you haven't done your basics yet. And when you come to the point where you really start importing stuff, this is just an example, or sorry, that's about exporting. So you go to the inventory, you select attributes, the ones that you want to export, generate that list. You see that the table fills on the left-hand side. You see the tags that I just talked about. Go and export, go here. And you basically have created your first export. So it's a very easy one. It's basically giving you your first application list. So this is what you will have in the end. This probably looks already like some of the application lists that you receive. So this is basically starting from a full inventory. And as you see here, you could use that one as an import template and bring in your data basically underneath. See what kind of format do we have here, in which with which kind of terms are our attributes given, like here business criticality. How do we bring in all the phases about the life cycles with the dates? How do we bring in the responsibilities? So this is done via email, which basically allows us to when somebody logs in with his email address, to already show him what he's responsible for. So this is kind of showing relevant content to the first-time user. So coming to the order of import. First of all, get a sense of parent-child structures. I said leave it out for applications, but for business capabilities or processes, it might make sense. As I showed on the poster before, you have a level 1 business capabilities, strategy management, and then you have planning and stuff like that. So be aware of that and import that for all the fact sheet types that you want to do. After that, once you have a basic filling, populate the attributes with it. Add tags and subscriptions. So you might have some data that are not in our data model. As I just showed, the SLA is not part of our standard data model, but it's easy to create this as a tag group and then add it. Or the deployment type. So is it SaaS, is it PaaS, is it IaaS, or is it on-premise? Also something that you can easily put here in a tag or a subscriptions. So you basically, after these 3 steps, you would have, and if you do it for the recommended fact sheet types, you have an applications field, you have user groups field, you have business capabilities field. And after that, you begin to relate the objects to each other. So how does it basically work? This is how a business capability import Excel would look like. So it says type business capability. It says what are the names of it. Same for user groups. It gives a description on it, and it even gives a location. Australia is in Australia. So location is an attribute to the name. And here, this might look like one of your application lists with a name, description, life cycles, technical fit, business criticality, etc. And here we come up with the user groups and the business capabilities. So this is how we build the relations. It's just one more column here. And within every import, you have a README which gives you an indication how you should name or what you should consider when you fill certain fields. So this is basically everything that we now have when we go into a empty workspace. So this is as you see, empty workspace, 0 fact sheets in it. That's basically how everybody would start with us. So what we do now is we choose a file. We start with the business capabilities, just the file that you saw in the previous picture. So we did a test run. It says everything is good. We do a load, and this is now real time. It's not accelerated. We saw there are no errors. We go on to import, and we directly see here that the business capabilities have filled. So I see 50 business capabilities on 2 levels, 17 on level 1, the rest on level 2. So first step done, 1 Excel uploaded. Next step, user groups. So we see same workspace, only 50 business capabilities. That's what just happened. We go again on choose the user group. We go on the import, choose the file that I just presented. Nothing different. Go on the user group. Run the import, the test run again. So this always gives us a good validation. Is it really happening? We see 11 changes, so everything is good. No errors, no ignored rows. We skip the test run. We import it again, and we see that here the inventory is populated with those 11 user groups. So, okay, next step, we have 50 business capabilities, 11 user groups. Same thing here, applications, import, and yeah, so also not accelerated here. And I promised that's the last Excel that we put in. So we add 100 applications here. Yeah, it's basically that's onboarding week 2, what we just do in 3 minutes. And because it might take time to gather the data. And you see that all the what you just saw at last was that the inventory is populated, all the attributes are there. So this is the point. We did nothing more with that workspace. This is the time, 50 business capabilities, 100 applications. We go to reporting, and we see our first business capability map. So this is what happened here. We have business capabilities and applications. We can use the levels to go deep or see it on a level 1. On level 1, so we can see also, and that now it gets more interesting already, which countries and which business or which applications are used in which business capabilities by which country. So to start identifying what is actually happening in those countries. Do we have any white spots here, or do we have any redundancies here? So it's a lot about spending time to capture the data. The technical part, as you hopefully saw, is very easy. It's basically just about getting the data in Excel. It's relating the data and bringing in some relevant attributes, as you saw here, the technical fit. And you can already start drawing conclusions from here. So typically during onboarding in the third week, so just did some kind of an acceleration here, in 39 minutes, the first 2 weeks of onboarding, to have a good result and really start enabling the enterprise architect to have internal discussions on, hey, what are we actually doing in this and that country? Or why are we using so many applications for customer relationship management across the countries? Why is this one having a bad technical fit here, whereas we would have in France an application with a good technical fit? So this is the kind of discussions that we want to enable and want to enable early on. So not wait for months to get these kind of results. This is really what we want to achieve within the first weeks of getting started with LeanIX as a tool. So I already got my timekeeper message. Just to sum it up, Excel import is one of the 4 ways to edit the data, but it's definitely the recommended one. Perhaps your first fact sheet created in the UI to give you some confidence on what kind of attributes do I have available, or what is important for me. But when you start bringing in your application lists, do it with Excel. And go on the right fact sheet types. We also had discussions where during onboarding where customers said, hey, I've got 1,000 interfaces. And I said, yeah, that's good. But this is the second step. Obviously, interfaces can also be imported via Excel, so nothing here. But going back to what do we recommend about the order, it's applications, user groups, business capabilities. Interfaces can be, there's a discussion about, do we do technical interfaces? Do we do the business interfaces or whatever? So we skip that for the onboarding. We concentrate on those 3 applications, user group, business capabilities. And also just to give you I talked a lot about onboarding. If you have any questions and you are in that onboarding phase, the customer success manager is the go-to person that guides you, that helps you during mapping of your attributes, cleaning the data, and giving you some good hints on making sure that this is a picture that you can realize within your first weeks.